What's going on, world? It's your boy at Big Game James _36, and I'm here with Greg McGarity. And this is the Slayer Gator Bowl Drive to Selection Show presented by Toyota, where each and every week we give you the landscape of college football as it relates to the Slayer Gator Bowl, played December 27th, 7:30 p.m. on ABC. But you'll be here in Jacksonville, Florida, being able to witness the ACC versus the SEC showdown between obviously two of the best conferences in the nation. How you doing, Greg? What's
Doing
going on?
great. A little chilly, but we need a little chilly weather around here.
Yeah, it makes you feel good. It's football weather. You can wear a lot more clothes. My jackets were not happy right now, but today we get to pull out the peak coat. We get to go dress up a little bit more snazzy. Things that people are trying to dress up and make a little bit more snazzy is their record as they compete for one of the ultimate prizes in every college football team's their desires, to play in a bowl game. Obviously, the college football playoff national championship is the pinnacle, but one of the things I tell a lot of people is in my playing career, one of my funnest moments was always being able to go to a bowl. And one of the best moments that I had was actually playing in the Slayer Gator Bowl. I actually found my bowl bag as well as a little. I'm going to put it on my luggage so I can know what's mine. But it had James Coleman, Slayer Gator Bowl, had FSU's address, had all of the. It was my bad. It was not the Slayer Gator Bowl then. It was no, it was, but I think it was another sponsorship with it. But let's talk about last week and what the games are. What are some of the things that happened? We'll go on the SEC side first.
No real surprises. I think Auburn lost a chance to become bowl eligible in their overtime loss to Vanderbilt. But Alabama beat LSU, Georgia beat Mississippi State on the road. No real surprises. I think the topsy-turvy news came in the ACC. I mean, you had three games that really were stunning. UConn beating Duke, and Duke still is in the race for the ACC champion, even though they've got a couple of non-conference losses. But, probably the biggest one was Louisville losing to Cal at home. That really hurt Louisville's chances to compete, on a national scale. And then Wake Forest defeating Virginia. So you had some upsets, and who knows? You can't really predict what's going to happen on the ACC side. But this week it's going to be a little bit different, to where you've got a little bit more elimination games, as we'll see in both sides in the ACC and the SEC.
So let's and then also we saw one game where two teams are still trying to fight for position in Florida State and Clemson, in a game where Florida State lost again. Very interesting stat, because you brought up UConn beating Duke.
Yeah.
Since in the last 2 years, or last two seasons, because this season is still going forward, so Florida State has a chance to catch them. UConn has won more ACC games than Florida State. UConn has won 3. Florida State has only won 2 in the previous 2 seasons. So you talked about elimination games, and we're going to show a slide here soon where we're talking about how the teams are kind of in position.
Right.
But what are some of the not elimination games for college football playoff, and maybe even for some of our Gator Bowl stuff here on the ACC side?
Well, right now Miami is the highest-rated ACC team in the college football playoff, but they've got 2 ACC losses, so it's going to be very difficult, if not impossible, for them to play for the ACC champion. So right now it's kind of an unusual situation, to where the ACC champion will get the automatic bid. More than likely it won't be Miami, but could it be Georgia Tech? Could it be Virginia? Could it be Duke? Could it be Pitt? You've got still a lot of interesting dynamics out there. Probably the biggest game that you'll see, even though it's not an ACC game, is Notre Dame at Pitt. It could keep Pitt at home. Pitt's at home. If Notre Dame loses that game, then they'll fall out of the college football playoff. And at the end of the year, Pitt plays Miami in Pitt. So you've got Pitt's kind of controlling some of their own destiny here. But you've got teams, NC State's at Miami. NC State beat Georgia Tech. You've got some things that really come into play. But I think more so on the college football playoff is going to affect the SEC more this week than before. But we've got a slide here that shows the college football playoff as it stands right now. So having said that, you've got Texas playing Georgia. So if Georgia beats Texas, Texas will drop out. Alabama plays Oklahoma in Tuscaloosa. You know, if Alabama loses that game, I don't know where they go, but what does that do to Oklahoma, who's right now the first team out? So a lot of things can go on. You got Ole Miss hosting Florida. You know what Florida did last year ruined Ole Miss's chances in the college football playoff. So a lot of interesting things going on, but I'm thinking that all the home teams are going to win this weekend in the SEC. And you've got some out of conference play, but Florida at Ole Miss is something to watch. Obviously, Texas at UGA and South Carolina at A&M, but I just think South Carolina is not really on a very good spurt right now.
You got that number 3 team there, Texas A&M, looking really, really good.
Yeah.
Poised to win. Just some obviously some very, very good teams there that we haven't traditionally seen, but those top 3 spots look really solid for right now. Obviously Alabama doing a great job of resurrecting their career. So Notre Dame loses, that puts them into the pool of play for the Gator Bowl.
Yep. Let's flip to that slide because we've got one here that. And this is now just based on this week's rankings, okay? It's going to change, obviously. But as you see right now on the ACC side, we have Miami up there now because they are in the college football playoff today. But we all know that the ACC champion is probably going to bump Miami, so that would bump Miami down to in our N category in the ACC. And you've got 6 teams that are really out of play in the SEC and the ACC. So a lot of interesting things going on here, but obviously there are a lot of teams that could compete for the ACC championship. I think there'll only be a one bid conference this year, and that assumes Notre Dame would be in, so technically 2. But on the SEC side, you got the big game in Athens with Texas and Georgia. I still think 4 teams will get in the college football playoff. That would put 6 teams in this pool. And then, as we mentioned, 6 teams are already, in my mind, out of play. So a lot of movement, but this is, again, we only have 2 weeks after this weekend. So there'll be some significant changes there just because of the head-to-head competition. And watch out in the ACC these last 2 weeks. Every game is going to be critically important, because there's so many teams that are still in the hunt to be in Charlotte, both sides. So we'll just see what happens. But obviously this will be affected in some way, the in and the college football playoff, not so much in the out category.
Yeah, like you talked about Pitt. Miami has a tough Pitt, has a tough NC State. Virginia, Louisville, Georgia Tech, guys that have to figure out how to win out, not just for the ACC championship, but to have any opportunity to play in the college football playoff, in particular Georgia Tech, because they have a tough one against Georgia in their annual game. But one of the interesting questions that I have for you is so much that you see the SEC has been petitioning for more and more, and even almost like dang near like it'll be an SEC challenge, but they have 10 teams right now, and things could change with that are eligible for bowl games. Now, looks very top heavy. And again, Texas A&M being one of that team, the SEC always seems to have one team that just pops in there that isn't like the others. And Ole Miss could be considered that as well, because traditionally those teams are always solid, but never been an elite team. I know it's a tough conference, but every conference beats up on it. Everybody beats up on each other.
Absolutely.
But when you only have 10 teams that are eligible for bowls, meaning they're just 500, that's what you got to be. Does it make for a case that if other conferences did a better job of marketing themselves, they probably could get a little bit more? Because even some of these people that are in this college, again, Texas A&M undefeated, earned it. Ole Miss, Alabama losing to a team that we all know isn't very good right now. That's more marketing than it is, are they actually good?
Well, I think all those points are valid, but I really think what's coming into play now is the parity. You got some teams here that with a few upsets could make their way in, but you think of the SEC going to 9 games next year, okay? That means 8 teams are going to have another loss instead of playing a game against a lesser opponent. So I'm not so sure what this board's going to look like next year because of 9 SEC games going on. So you got to be careful who you schedule out of conference. I think that's where the College Football Playoff Committee, how will they evaluate teams now? They might have 3 losses. They're already looking at a lot of teams that are going to be in the playoff with 2 losses. So if you expand to 16 teams, which we'll know that by December 1st, if that really happens. But I just think that the scheduling piece of it is in play. But you better win the games you're supposed to win. Mm-hmm. You can't really sustain your margin of error diminishes when you have a bad loss, and it's going to be more impactful as you move forward.
One of the things that we can predict, and I can tell you with absolute certainty, the next 3 to 4 weeks are going to be crazy. Mm-hmm. Somebody's going to lose that's not supposed to lose. If some injuries happen, we've seen it numerous years. I believe you were at Florida. Were you at Florida when they won the 2 with Urban Meyer years?
Yes.
So one of the things that people, like, I love to tell them this, but even though you won it, so it doesn't matter. Mm-hmm. You weren't in until you were. That's right. And that last weekend in football was crazy with people losing that you didn't expect. At Florida State's first national championship, after they lost to Notre Dame being upset, and a lot of other teams, a lot of things had to move around so that they could vault back into that position to be able to play Nebraska in the Orange Bowl. That's what makes college football fun. That's what makes it exciting. No matter what you believe, it will always be the more pure version of football outside of the NFL, and even that's fun to watch. College football playoff just gives you more things to talk about and more things to be educated on as we move into this landscape. Before we finish, can we talk about some of the qualifiers for people to be able to get into the Gator Bowl?
Well, you can't be a repeat team, so that means Ole Miss and Duke can't play. Probably Clemson would have. If Clemson was eligible, they could not be in our game. So we're going to have probably the second or third or fourth pick once the college football playoff teams are determined in the ACC. In the SEC, again, we have to wait to see who goes up. Then Orlando, the Citrus Bowl, has the first pick. Then the other remaining teams that are in our pool will be a mix and match by the SEC, making sure that there are no repeat games of this year, hopefully avoid games of next year, and certainly avoid any bowl game matchups last year. But, regardless of who we have, it's going to be really important for the community. We're going to have 2 great teams. Mm-hmm. I think we see that. But regardless of who you're cheering for, it's really going to be important for our community to support us in buying tickets. We've got some great deals right now on our website, SlayerGatorBowl.com, and I'd advise people to go ahead and get their tickets now because it's going to be a great time. As you mentioned, it's a great day, great time, and no better way to spend that Saturday night than in Everbank Stadium watching a very exciting game.
Tons of excitement. What Gator Bowl does so much through Gator Bowl charities, especially with what us Green Jackets are able to do through my MFTK Foundation. They give me the opportunity to not only take kids to the game, but I went to that Pop Warner thing. That soda pop, it's $13. So they got a chance to feed some kids too. So it helped a lot of parents. But again, the only way you can do that, support the game. We'll be here next year as well. So then then we got to figure some things out. But the biggest thing is support. Join the Chairman's Club, come to the game, and make sure you listen to me and Greg McGarity every week as we explain the college football landscape as it relates to the Slayer Gator Bowl here in Jacksonville, Florida, played on ABC at 7:30 p.m. on December 27th. Again, for Greg McGarity, I'm James Coleman. This is the Slayer Gator Bowl Drive to Selection Show presented by Toyota. We'll see you guys next time.
Awesome.